What's going on, everybody? You reached another edition of the NRW Checkpoint. Of course, I'm your man, WebsterStyle, the man, the voice of fragrance. And always we got my man, Brian Sapph. Brian, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. It's another week, another load of new games, and let's jump right into it. Now, Brian, are you familiar with the Story of Seasons series?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, me either. I didn't know it was I didn't know such a series existed. Well, right. Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town is releasing this week for the PS4. It came out on the Switch and the PC in 2021, and it's a simulation. And by subscription, you are dropped into Olive Town as eager explorers. Olive Town is a charming seaside community on the edge of an untamed frontier, where they will work to breathe life back into their grandfather's dilapidated farm. So you're a farming sim combined with a town sim. Okay, great. And apparently this is like big business over in Japan.
Yeah, it sounds very Harvest Moon. That's
exactly what I was thinking. So it fits right in with the Switch. Well, this is PS4 version, but it fits right in with the Switch, which it came out with last year.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna check that out. I like Harvest Moon, so we'll see.
Okay, good. Next up, we have another simulator, Bear and Breakfast. Now, when I saw this title, I kept thinking beer and breakfast. Beer, but no breakfast in this case. And I'm like, what is Bear and Breakfast? So Bear and Breakfast is described as a laid back management adventure game. Those are two adjectives I would never thought be placed together to describe a game in my life. Where players take on the role of Hank, a well-meaning bear trying to turn around an abandoned shack and turn it into a successful B&B.
Okay, that's interesting. So he trying to, all right.
This is one of those games where I say that someone must have been doing drugs to come up with this premise. Not that there's anything right or wrong with it, but I'm just saying there was assistance in coming up with the plot of this game.
Absolutely, because we didn't need the bear. I think the bear is just there to add some hilarity to it. But
yes, has to be. Well, we're watching the trailer for it later, so we get a better understanding of it. Or I should say, not necessarily drugs. They came up with it as a child, and when they became an adult, became a program. Like, I want to make this game.
A bear and breakfast.
Only way I can see it happen. Next up, we have Lost Epic, which is coming out for the PlayStation family of systems as well as PC. It's an action title and is described as a 2D Souls-like side-scrolling action RPG with fast-paced battles and hack and slash elements. So we're actually watching the trailer for that. It looked interesting, and it's PlayStation exclusive. So it's one of those things where, hey, if you got PlayStation, go for it. Yeah, especially if you if you're into Souls games and like, hey, I don't want a 3D experience. I want my games 2D. This seems like it might be the perfect one for you.
Let me see what the trailer looking like. Because I don't know, that sounds like it might be interesting to play.
Yeah, it does sound interesting. Next up, we have, I would say an old favorite, but a property that's been around for a long time, Digimon. In this case, it's Digimon Survive, and it's on the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Of course, with the PS and the Xbox, it's going to be backwards compatible with the current gen systems. You don't have to worry about there. And this is what really got me. It's described as a strategy game, and the description says it's a visual novel / survival RPG hybrid with strategy and role-playing elements. I'm like, that's interesting. Those are two game types I never thought would be mashed up or could be mashed up.
Yeah, I've heard. I think I might have seen some footage for Digimon Survive before, but if it's anything like I'm thinking in my head, then this is probably gonna be like a Zelda or what's the game? Fire Emblem, where it's like very strategic and there's a story happening and stuff like that. I need to see the trailer.
Yeah, we are watching the trailer for that one as well.
All right, yeah.
And in it, they talk about how player choices influence the direction of the story, including the Digimon's Digivolution
Yes.
process with multiple playthroughs. It can result in different paths and different digivolutions.
Okay, which makes sense because
Yeah.
I mean I'm a Digimon person. Like it, came out shortly after Pokemon. I follow both of them. The Digimon, they have like branches in their evolution. So I'm assuming if you like lean more towards the evolution of the bad side, the Digimon can go into, then you become more of a villain in the story. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. I will say I have never played a Digimon game. I was a fan of the original animated series. I never liked Pokemon. But one thing about Digimon, the animated series, it was surprisingly deeper than you thought it would be.
Yeah.
Which is what, and I was in college when this came out. So, but it was anime. So, you got to pass for that.
Right.
And last up is probably the biggest hitter of the week, and that's Xenoblade Chronicle 3 for the Switch. So, Brian, what's your take on this one?
I'm excited for Xenoblade. It's crazy because I've never played a Xenoblade game, right? Okay. But I've always wanted to because they are like the Switch's version of the Devil May Cry series.
Okay.
So I've always been interested in playing it. I haven't had my Switch like, too long, not as long as I've had a PlayStation, I should say. So I never got around to the series or whatever. But every time Xenoblade comes up in conversation or like there's something about to happen within the realm of the actual like gaming community or whatever, they put those games on sale because they want people to like really get. It's like one of Switch's few titles that's like not for kids, like
right,
it's an M rating, I believe, or at least teen or something, and very much blood and guns. If you play Devil May Cry, then you like Xenoblade is the Switch version of that,
right,
but with a little more cyberpunk to it.
For an RPG series on the Switch, especially with those sort of play mechanics, I would say I'm not surprised, but it always shocks me how much hype, how much sort of internet fervor happens when there's even the slightest announcement of a new Xenoblade game.
Yeah,
and I feel like this one came out on the Wii U, so this is like a port, if I remember correctly. I'm not entirely sure. But I know that there's been a lot of talk about this game coming out for quite some time before they actually announced it a couple of Nintendo Directs ago. So I know people are definitely excited for this game and for the series as a whole. It's one of those ones, like you said, it's very much, the adults like the game.
Yeah.
The adults are talking about it. It isn't something that is necessarily aimed toward the younger demographic, as a lot of that family-friendly content is Nintendo. Not saying this couldn't be played by many different types of people, but just the fact that this is clearly not, it's not your Kirby's, it's not your Mario's, it's not your games that are, hey, come play with us, we're okay, sort of thing. So, yeah, speaking of that, let's get into our first trailer of the show, and that's going to be Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Let's see.
There you are! You monsters!
Yep, she's throwing out the language, calling them monsters.
They're literally monsters, though.
We're your friends here!
See, I will have to say this again, though. This is one thing I love about the Switch, but even with seeing that across a lot of different games, and I forget the game we talked about last week, the visual styles that a lot of these games are using now are able to translate through generations, where look at this, like this looks beautiful.
Right.
It's not the most graphically intense system or game, but it's something that you played 10 years from now is still going to look good because of the style of it.
Right.
I mean, you look at some of those 360 games or PS3 games, and, depending on the art style it shows, a lot of them still hold up today because of those art styles that they show.
Agreed. And I'm looking at this. I was thinking about Bayonetta when I was speaking earlier about the game, but it's still very much they're kind of akin to each other. This fighting style is a lot more.
So you can take
it's a lot more cooperative.
Yeah, it's like a very interesting battle system. I'm not familiar with how that battle system plays, but it looks different than what you usually see.
This entire like system or whatever is kind of, I forget the company that does this or whatever, but they focus more on mobile games and then port their mobile games over to console. They have like
It's a wild ride, this passage of fate.
the way the battle style is like really like it's open world, but it's cooperative. It's
My
more
way
like
demands we fight.
a
Come then,
Final Fantasy
and test
type
your mental
like,
against my
Right.
life.
I think it's Monolith, but I'm not entirely sure if that's the developer.
if you look at it, kind of
flashing before my
like a look of some turn-based kind of play there, but then there's
all this.
area where you can like expand yourself, like you can your team walking around the monster or whatever.
Not that I have all that much time to
Xenoblade
spare.
is a very, very
It's soon.
interesting title. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Finding a path.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I will make that my.
Like I said, it looks like something you want to play.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Monolith Soft. They're the developers. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is definitely on Brian's list to check out.
Definitely.
All right. Now let's go to our resident yogi who wants to start a bed and breakfast with Bear and Breakfast.
And why people like to use bears to sell stuff? I feel like that at this point, the bears want to be left alone.
I like the animated trailer though. It's reminds. I feel like this is something that could be on the Cartoon Network.
Yes, yeah. Very Cartoon Network art style here.
Dude, maybe this should be something on the Cartoon Network. This would be hilarious.
Yeah, they have
Just
to
the
put it
premise.
like the Adult Swim version.
Well, no, not even that. Just the premise. A bear who wants to run a bed and breakfast.
Okay,
That just sounds absolutely hilarious.
It does.
It sounds like a great cartoon. Now this
See, this is giving me like Sims vibes.
exactly. Yeah, this is not my cup of tea. I'll put it that way.
I like these games, but I have to be in a space where I can just like sit and lock in. If I
That
have
makes
too much
sense.
going on, I can't play these kind of games because I will get lost in the construction aspect and trying to make this thing look perfect. I know
Right.
a lot of these world builders like that, especially like Sims or whatever, there are usually some kind of goals that you hit if you build your house a certain way. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if it's the same here, but I think that's a cool little game.
It's definitely different. The premise, I'm hoping and assuming that you get a lot more, like the bear angle plays a lot more into the game than you would think with the management portion and the sim portion. Like I would hope that being a bear plays some sort of big impact on the direction of the game. Because if not, what's the point of having the main character being a bear?
Exactly. Like the
Oh.
bear need to be able to knock his own wood down or something.
Right.
Like there needs to be some kind of some kind of perk to being a bear, or else you
Exactly.
just put a human there.
Exactly. So I like that. It's like I said, not my cup of tea, but it looks like an interesting game nonetheless.
Definitely.
All right. Next up, we have Lost Epic.
さあ、お
So
行
how
き
did
な
they
さい。
find it if it
古き
is
神の加護があらん
an
こと
epic that was lost?
Or is it anime art style?
Right.
I don't know what it is about this style.
I was just getting ready to say it looked very Facebook game.
Yes. It reminds me of those paper puppets.
Yeah.
How the arms and stuff sway and swing. That's what it reminds me of. Because there was another RPG that came out a while ago we looked at that came out on the on all the systems, but it was on Game Pass and I tried, and I forget what it's called, but like they all had that kind of floaty like mechanic, and they looked in that 2D realm, and it just, I don't know, something about it I just don't like.
It made me feel like if I buy the game, they're gonna like hack my card or something.
Yes.
It feel like it's like a little knockoff. Like, here's something that we put out that we want you to spend money on because we need money for something better. And it's
Yes.
like, it's like, okay, that's fine, but I mean, Don't make it look like that.
It's very much a mobile game aesthetic or feel is when you it's not just that it's anime style, is that particular sort of floaty anime style.
Yeah.
And there's just something, if I'm playing on a console or if it comes out for a console, for me personally, that's a turnoff. That is a very big turnoff. If I'm playing on my phone, and again, I know things nowadays, you have phones that are powerful enough to play a lot of games on consoles. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sitting on if I have a 360, not 360, but a Xbox S or X or PS5. I don't want to sit on my $400 system or $500 system and play a game could be $5 on my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just my thing.
I really hope the developers get away from that. I mean, but maybe there's somebody that loves the art style. Maybe that art style is supposed to be enticing to a certain demographic. Right.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't check out the price of the game. I'm hoping it's not a full price game, but you never know nowadays.
Because it's very scams likely on that. I don't feel safe playing that game. Just by the way,
not at all.
But good job, developers, for getting something out, because I know making video games is not easy, and
not at all.
Deserve your credit.
All right. So last but not least for our trailers, we have Digimon Survive.
All right.
Digimon Digital Monsters.
As a digitamer myself, somebody who enjoys the Digimon's franchise, I've been looking at getting this game.
World.
The turn-based strategy aspect, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it based on what I've been able to
as each decision
on
could
YouTube
be your
and stuff.
last.
But as far as I know,
using your phone,
this is interesting.
Uncover strange anomalies in this new world as you try to piece together a mystery.
See, they got this aspect to it. And maybe that's what you were talking about earlier, how the story thing kind of comes together with the
dense fog, filled with danger around every corner. Trapped in a world swarming with monsters, where terrifying creatures roam the night.
The only thing that I do not like about the Digimon property is that they don't,
as if bound
they
by
don't give
fate,
their
they must work together.
They don't give each season of the Digimon franchise
they must trust one another.
Unique property.
Got you.
Because there are seasons, I think it was either
save each other.
3, where the Digimon and the Tamers could fuse and become a Digimon. There's different ways for these Digimon to survive and exist with humans or whatever, and they don't necessarily play on that, because that could have been a fighting game.
See, I don't know, because the visual novel part looks pretty cool, but looking at the fighting and the battle system, I don't know. It's not up to par as what I would expect from even PS4, Xbox One sort of generation. I expected a bit more with the battle system and the overall aesthetic of the battle system.
Yeah, that's the one thing where it comes to strategy and tactical turn-based kind of games, because they want you to have this Dungeons and Dragons chessboard kind of feel or whatever. It doesn't leave much room for them to really get down into the graphics and make the game look like something that should be played on a console other than Switch, because this looked like a Switch game to me.
Oh yeah, definitely fits on Switch, but it's on all of the last gen systems and Switch. So like I said, if you're a Digimon fan, I say definitely recommended.
I'm gonna check
I've never played a Digimon game, so I'm this isn't one that's gonna make me start.
Yeah. One thing I can say about the Digimon franchise is that they do, even though I feel like they should give their individual anime seasons and mangas their own independent games and things like that.
Right.
They do have a diverse style of game, because the last Digimon games that came out before this, they were not that chessboard feel. It was actually a game like Pokemon kind of, where you running around.
I agree with you on that one. I mean, like I said, I've never played them, but I see what comes out. I see the gameplay, and when they are very diverse in what they try to do with the franchise. So I will definitely give Bandai Namco that. It is not the same sort of cookie cutter sort of format that, again, no disrespect to Pokemon, because look, they found what works. They keep doing it, just kind of reinvent and evolve the wheel.
Right.
But one of the things fans always talk about is that they don't make a lot of changes. And now you're just getting sort of graphical changes.
Yeah.
With the new games that have come out. And that other game, that more open world game that either came out or was coming out, I forget, because I know we've talked about it.
Yeah.
But Digimon and Bandai Namco are not afraid to change things up when it comes to making the game. So I definitely give them kudos for that, for that experimentation with a property that people love so much.
I agree. And if they want this idea, they could definitely have it. There'd probably be a fee attached, but I think you guys, if you're listening, Mr. Bandai Namco, who all are part of the team, fighting game. Like, I'm looking at the Digimon and the incredible roster of Digimon that you have. There's over 30 tamers at this point. Like, every season of the manga or the TV show is new kids playing with these Digimon. Make a fighting game, give me a 2D fighting game that looks very reminiscent to Capcom versus Marvel.
That's what I was thinking. Yes.
That's all I need. And then the franchise will be in a whole new state of revitalization. Just my opinion, because
I agree. I think that's a good idea. Maybe not a mainline game, but definitely something they should probably explore.
Right.
So they could do. I think that would work as a free-to-play model, kind of like what not Marvel, but Microsoft did with Killer Instinct.
Okay.
You give away a base game, and then you can add on extra. And even Tecmo did that with DOA 6, free-to-play, and then you can add on. I think that would be a good look for them to do, and especially something that would be low-hanging. Well, in theory, low-hanging fruit to develop and publish. And then you can just add on. So hopefully it's a revenue generator for you while you continue to make the mainline games. And it's something you don't have to constantly reiterate every couple of years either.
Exactly.
So,
like 2K so often does with their same game every year. You could just literally make it a game. Let us download the new characters. Like, when I'm thinking about Digimon, in the story, I'm like, a Dragon Ball Z or a Dragon Ball Fighters, how that game is set up, Digimon will be perfect for that. You just add extra characters as the game progresses, and you add to the story and stuff. Like, that's just an idea. Make a fighting game. Like, that's what I want to see.
Right. So that's it for this week's releases. Brian, what's coming up for you this week?
Just another episode of Talk+Play Blur. Am I hand out of care? Yeah, this thing. The podcast, guys. Another episode of that. I just got back from Miami with doing Rolling Loud, the Rolling Loud Music Festival.
Oh, really? Okay. I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have I had an amazing time. I'll be talking about that probably the entirety of the episode, but we'll see. I might throw some other things in there, but that's the focus. And then Checkpoint, telling these people what games are coming out and what scams to look out for when it comes to graphical design.
Okay. Well, this week, I don't know if I'm doing a podcast this week because I dropped 2 on Saturday and Sunday. So I was a little bit late for the week. So this week, right now, at the time of this recording, we have the video of our BlerdCon panel, Sartorial Geek Fandom, Fashion, and Future, which is available on YouTube as well as Spotify, Apple, iTunes, yada, 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 as far as audio, but also video as far as the Spotify is concerned. And then a couple days later, because I waited because of San Diego Comic-Con and all of the glorious, luscious news that came out of that, episode 119 dropped, and is very much about San Diego Comic-Con. I will say I did talk about my experience watching that episode 1 of the Resident Evil show on Netflix.
Okay.
In the words of In Living Color, hated it.
I heard you saying like why they can't get this right, and I agree with you.
Yeah, but I am going to go back and watch episode 2 before the week is out. I'm gonna give it another chance.
Okay.
But on the good stuff, this is it right here.
Right.
If, ladies and gentlemen, if you watch that trailer and you didn't get a tear in your eye, you have no heart and soul. That's
Yeah,
all I'm
that's
saying.
it. And what made me, well, damn, I'll talk about it on the podcast.
We talk about that later.
Right.
But that's what's coming up this week on the Sartorial Geek podcast. And there may be episode 120. I got a couple things in the pipe, but brother's burnt out. It's been a long week.
I'm right there with you. Like,
Right. So speaking of all that, Brian's on the Talk and Play blerdcast. I'm in the Sartorial Geek podcast, but you are currently right here with Nerds Rule the World. Make sure you follow the Twitter at the NRW. Make sure you follow Instagram at New Release Wednesday. And of course, you are on YouTube. So make sure you like, share, and of course, subscribe.
Please and thank you.